Welcome back to a new video. It is time to update my reading journal for the month of May. I thought I would do a kind of a colorful cover spread, honestly. I just picked these out of what stationery I've got, like the cute cat with library stationery, and I had these abstract tree things and orange envelope, and I just, I like the colors together, and so there it goes. There's really no particular theme for this stuff. Anyways, so this month I read 14 books, which is a lot. Some of these, actually no, only one of these was quite short, and the rest were regular sized fantasy books, mostly fantasy books, some romance, some memoir. So there was just, I guess I was on a roll. I finally found some books that I was really enjoying, and we went from there. So I'll be filling out some of my TBR stats, which, because I'm so good at filming this, you can't read it all because I didn't zoom in, so I'll just tell it to you. We are starting with 144 books on my TBR list. This includes digital and physical books, and ending with 125. I read 14 books this month. I DNF'd 8, did not finish. I acquired 10. Some of these were physical, some of these were digital, and I destashed 5 physical books, which is saying something, because I love holding on to my physical books, but I just didn't need these anymore. I wasn't going to read them, so off they go to the library. Anyways, the books I read this month were The Ragpicker King by Cassandra Clare, Deadly Education, actually the whole Scholomance trilogy by Naomi Novik, The Bridge Kingdom by Danielle L. Jensen, Mother Noise by Cindy House, Our Infinite Fates by Laura Stephen, singular, I think, The Pilfered Quill by Rachel Renner and David Green, Falling Through Stars by Stacey Olson, Poems for Nighttime by various classical poets, I guess, A Curse Carved in Bone, also by Danielle Jensen, Dragon Class by Melanie Ainsley, The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig, and Problematic Summer Romance by Ali Hazelwood. Now, at the time of filming this, I am still 2 days out from the end of May, so it is possible that I'll finish another book, but unlikely, so we're just going to leave it here, regardless of whether I do finish another book. Anyways, I'm just filling out the books I read list that I do on the cover page, and in a moment you'll see me coloring in the star ratings, which are mostly vague because I don't like the individual stars. I like writing the numbers better, but they look pretty, so I do it. Anyways, I found an orange colored pencil that works reasonably well. The ones I'm just scribbling in are just the 5-star reads. Alright, I pre-drew these boxes with the camera off because it was almost lunchtime and I didn't feel like changing the camera battery. So there are 12 boxes, even though I have 14 books because I am doing the Scholomance trilogy in one book. But we are going to start instead with The Ragpicker King by Cassandra Clare. This book is the second book in the Castellane Chronicles, I want to say Chronicles, series of some sort. It follows all the various same characters and is in the same world, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. It took me a minute to remember what was going on and who we were talking about, but once I actually remembered what was going on, I enjoyed it just as much as I did book one. The adventure was nice, the characters were interesting, the plot was well thought out. My only real complaint with this book, which is why it didn't get 5 stars, was that the plot twist at the end featuring one of the main female characters, it came out of nowhere. I mean, it wasn't just like, oh, I didn't figure out this plot twist. It came out of nowhere. It didn't seem to have any basis that I could figure out. So that is my one detracting point for this book, why I got 4 stars instead of 5. I will read the next book. I enjoyed it quite a bit, and I think the writing is quite good, and I'm curious to see what happens with the story, even considering that major plot twist. Oh well, sometimes we just have plot twists that come out of nowhere. The next book that, books really, that I'm going to be talking about are the Scholomance trilogy by Naomi Novik, and this was absolutely my standout book series for the month. I read the first one because I'd gotten it a while back and loved it so much that I immediately went out, and by went out I meant to to the internet and bought the other two. Barnes & Noble delivered them a couple days later, and I just devoured these books. So the series is A Deadly Education, The Last Graduate, and The Golden Enclaves, and it is a dark academia sending your kids to a magical academy, and lots of monsters and mayhem and magic and potential death and that sort of thing, and I loved these books. The main character is the definition of reluctant hero. She absolutely does not want to be saving everybody, but she does anyways. Poor Galadriel, and yes, that is her name, and I love it. This book is sort of some stream of consciousness, lyrical exploration of thought and world, and some snark and grumpiness and grumbling about having to save everybody and that sort of thing. I love the world. I love the writing. I wish this series were longer because I would keep reading it for a good long while. Now, I have almost all of her books. I just need to get Spinning Silver, I think, and then I will just be eagerly hoping that she publishes another book because I love the Temeraire books too. Anyways, moving on to the next book I read. This is The Bridge Kingdom by Danielle L. Jensen. I got this because I had read A Fate Inked in Blood, and I really liked the cover. It is an epic romantasy book, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. I mean, it's kind of a standard romantasy book. The characters were interesting, the world was interesting, I liked the magic, that sort of a thing. I will say that I do grow a little weary of the standard bantering fantasy couple trope. Conflict is not my primary mode of communication, and I'm tired of people shouting at each other and insulting each other and assuming that that's attractive. Now, granted, this one was done pretty well. I have seen much worse banter, and this was pretty well at the top of quality. So it did get a good solid 4 stars from me, and I will be continuing in the series, but just in general, I'm tired of banter. I just want some intelligent conversation that's not insults. So moving on to the next book. This was Mother Noise by Cindy House. It's a memoir. I read it for my book club that I go to at the end of every month, and I didn't like this book at all, to be honest. I'm actually having a bad run of luck with the current book club book reads. The last 3 I've been not interested in, and this was the first one that I've read in a while. The others I've DNF'd. Anyways, this is a memoir about Cindy House, her trying to, I guess, figure out whether to tell her son that she was a heroin addict, only the questions she asks at the beginning of the book are either never answered at all or literally answered within the next page, and the entire book is written in disjointed, jump-around vignettes, and I hate that style so much. Any nonfiction book that jumps around from topic to topic or time to time, I hate. Get to the point, make a nice coherent statement, describe what's happening in nice logical order. You can bring up stuff from the past as long as you're consistent about the time frame. I hate it. Anyways, I would not recommend that book unless you really like disjointed vignettes. The next book I liked quite a lot, which was a good thing because I was very annoyed after that book. I read Our Infinite Fates by Laura Stephen. This is a contemporary romantasy, I think, about 2 characters who have been in love for generations, and they keep killing each other in every generation, and they sort of only halfway remember. The book itself was just stunningly lyrical. The prose was beautiful and poetic, and I loved it, and I absolutely would read more by this author if she does something in the same style. I do think that the final conflict at the end with the antagonistic force could have been a bit more, given how important it was to the book, but I loved the prose so much and I loved the characters so much that I really don't mind. So that gets a 4.75 stars. Next up, I read a shorter story. I don't know if it's a short story or a novelette, called The Pilfered Quill by Rachel Renner and David Green. I've had this on my TBR for quite a while, having read other books by both of these authors, and it was fine, I guess. I mean, I get the point. It's a writer who finds, a bad writer specifically, who finds a magical quill that's supposed to solve all of his writing problems, and it ends badly for him because he's a terrible person, etc., etc. And it's, meant to be funny. It's just not my sort of humor, to be honest. I get it. I know what they're trying to do, and the writing was great, and if you like obviously comedic things, then it's a really good story for you. For me, it was just, fine, I guess. So then I read Falling Through Stars by Stacey Olson. This is another book that's been on my TBR for ages. Honestly, the books I pick from my TBR are either just I really like the cover, or I've been meaning to read it for however many years at this point. For some of this one's been a year since I've had it on my TBR, and I just kind of say, oh, I'm in the mood for this. So this book, it follows T'Elba. She is in a world inspired by the Alaskan First Peoples kind of culture, and so she has a terrible accident and wakes up remembering falling through stars, and this book sort of follows her everyday life as she tries to come to terms with that. And also there's some monsters in there that are maybe hunting her down, but she doesn't really understand why, and her people don't believe her, and it's a very interesting story. I liked it quite a lot. The culture was fascinating, the world was well written and well explored. Casca the dog in this story, best dog ever. I love Casca so much, and absolutely made the story for me. Not that the rest of it was not interesting, Casca. I love dogs. Anyways, that is a solid 4.5 stars from me, and I would definitely recommend it. So then I read a book that I got for free a while back with my Barnes & Noble membership. They were giving it away for something, I don't remember why. It's called Poems for Nighttime, and it's just a collection of poetry supposedly about the nighttime from a bunch of, I want to say, standard classical poems. Dickinson, Percy Shelley, both Wollstonecraft, or Mary Shelley and Percy Shelley, and Byron, and Coleridge, all those people. And I generally like their poems. I think they're very interesting. Poetry is not my primary genre. I enjoy it quite a lot, but I don't tend to just pick up a poetry book because I have an overwhelming urge to read poetry. It has to be a deliberate thing for me. And this one was good. I liked all these poems, but not all of them had much to do with nighttime. It was tangentially related, I guess. Anyways, it was fine. I was just frustrated by the lack of genre continuity. If you say it's poems for nighttime, then stick with that. Anyways, moving on. Curse Carved in Bone is my next book. This is another one by Danielle L. Jensen. This is the second book in the Unfaded, or Saga of the Unfaded Saga, I don't know which, following A Fate in Blood, and I liked this book reasonably well. The story was interesting, the plot twist was clever, I liked the adventure and the characters. It was very familiar following on book 1. I liked the conflict. I will say that the romance between the main two characters, Freya and Bjorn, were just, they're supposed to be in love because they fell in love in book 1, and I really liked how it was done in book 1, but they just don't feel like they're actually in love. It just feels like it's a thing that you're supposed to know is there, but doesn't really feel like it was there. So anyways, this was a 3.5 stars for me. I enjoyed it, and I'm not disappointed that the duology is over. Is that terrible of me? It feels terrible, but I did like the book. Moving on to Dragon Class by Melanie Ainsley. This is the first book in her series of dragon writers, sort of in the style of Her Majesty's Dragon or Fourth Wing, kind of mushed together, but in a classical Chinese setting. I liked it quite a bit. The characters were fun. The world was interesting. I liked the intrigue and kind of the court politics, but not how it overwhelmed things. And I do wish that the Dragon Raishan had just a little bit more page time. He was there, and he was absolutely important to the story, but I feel like his character and his personality just didn't shine through in this book, although I have a feeling that in book 2 they will absolutely shine through, and I will be reading book 2 because I enjoyed it quite a lot, and I love things with dragons so much. So that's a solid 4 stars for me. Then I read The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig. I liked the Shepherd King duology that she wrote, and so I picked this one up, and I really liked this too. The world was very interesting. I loved the magic, especially the diviner magic and all of the things that go along with it, and the characters, and this is terrible, the trauma that they experience, it was fascinating and so well written, and I loved the character interaction and the romance and the world, and it was great. Definitely great. I don't know, no notes, except that I would love for book 2 to at least be announced so that I know when to expect it, because I enjoyed it so much. Yep. A solid 5 stars from me for this book. And the last book that I read this month, provided I don't finish any within the next 2 days, is Problematic Summer Romance by Ellie Hazelwood. I absolutely devoured this book. It was really good. I have read a lot of romance in my time, and so I kind of get, it's a very familiar thing, guy meets girl or whatever, and things end happily ever after, and so a lot of them kind of lose their punch for me, but this one was hitting me in all the feels. I loved the characters and the trauma. I'm a terrible trauma hound, I guess. The interactions that they had, and the fact that it was, here's this guy who's my best friend, but he's being difficult, and all of these things, and okay, the description of Italy, lovely. Another solid 5 stars. So now I'm going to go back and fill in some of my reading journal book stat things that I set up at the beginning of the year. This is book bingo, things like summer themed, or library book, or short story, or a book that I picked because of the cover. Honestly, I don't know if I would do this again next year. It's interesting, but I don't really care that much about book bingo. If I don't fill it out, I don't fill it out. It doesn't really bother me. But, it's kind of fun to color in the boxes. And the same thing with the alphabet title challenge thing. It's interesting to see if the books that I read are filling in the alphabet, or fitting in with whatever challenge. But do I care so much if I miss a cue or whatever? No, I really don't. I'm a mood reader. I'm going to read what I want to read. I don't care if it's in a challenge or not in a challenge. However, the book bracket standout books I absolutely do like filling out because I find that very interesting. This month's book, although there were a bunch of 5-star reads, the Scholomance trilogy was absolutely my favorite, so I just put book 1. And then I get to color in my how many books I read thing. I'm hoping to read 200 books this year, but as of this point, I don't think I'll make it. Do I mind too much? No, not really. So now I'm just filling in, authors I read, how many ebooks, how many physical books. A lot more physical books this month than standard. Oh well. Interesting to know. But again, 14 books this month, and it was a pretty good month. A lot of interesting books that I really liked, except for the one from the book club. Oh well. See you next time.